Hi, Jenny, you all right?
Yeah, not so bad, thank you. Not so bad. How's your day down at the distillery been?
It's been fine, yeah. We've been cleaning the wash still, looking at a few of the casks, seeing what we're going to be doing later on in the year, release-wise.
Nice, that's exciting. Yeah, that's good. And how was the cask delivery earlier this week?
On the hottest day of the year.
Oh, I know that was that last week. Yeah,
A lot of fun.
good weight loss technique.
Yeah, do a few more of them.
Yeah, just drop some casks. Yeah, it's basically boot camp, isn't it? When you see the people running up and down the cliffs carrying car tires and things like that, that's basically moving casks in the distillery.
Yeah, constantly. Yeah, 210. Yeah.
210. I didn't realise it was that many. Nice.
Yeah, it's 210 on a container.
Cool. Right. Well, we've got a few people. Just I can see some eyeballs coming on. So we'll just give it a couple more seconds until we get cracking.
No worries.
That's good. Good backdrop today. Nice setup. Looks good.
It's not a bad office.
No, it isn't, is it? It's very shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Keep it looking nice. Right. Okay. Well, let's get cracking. I think we've got a few people on now. So, hello everybody. Welcome to Field to Bottle number 9. So we're into our 9th week of Facebook Lives every Wednesday at 6 p.m. A couple of us from the distillery come on to our Facebook for half an hour to talk about a different aspect of our field to bottle process. So last week we had our distillation part 1, in which Tom, who's a co-founder, and me chatted about the setup of the distillery and how we got to the still setup and how we got to the idea of how we wanted to distill and the kind of spirit we wanted to make. So today, because distillation is such a massive topic, it felt like we'd be rushing and wasting it to try and fit it into 30 minutes. Today, I'm joined by Dom, who's our distiller. Give away. There you go. And we'll be talking through the more sort of slightly technical aspects of distilling and the actual distilling itself and how we do things differently and what makes it so special for us. So as ever, if you have any questions or comments, just bob them into the comments box just below here. And I'll pick them up and just be keeping an eye on them. So if you see my eyes darting around, it's not because I'm checking my emails, it's just because I'm keeping an eye on those comments and making sure we're picking everything up. If they're relevant to that conversation, then we'll introduce them as we go. If actually it makes more sense to leave them till the end, then we'll leave them to the end, but we'll still ask them. If we don't get to your question, then we'll try and get to you via email or private message or something like that too. So so we're joined by Dom Brining, he's our distiller. And then I am Jenny Ashwood. I head up marketing here at the Spirit of Yorkshire Distillery. So there's a nice little thing just to remind us what we're talking about. So without further ado, hi Dom.
Hi, Jenny.
What were you up to? So I guess to start with, kind of distiller, like being a whiskey distiller sounds like a dream job. That kind of thing where people must ask you like all the time, how did you get into it? Why? This sounds like the most dreamy job in the world. But actually sort of talk to us a bit about your job, I think, to start with. So what's the day-to-day in the life of a distiller, a Yorkshire distiller?
Yeah, so as well as distilling, so we distill 4 days a week at the moment. And then, on the off days, we're going to be cleaning. We're going to be racking casks, anything production-wise, down to bottling, sorting out the next releases, bringing down the water to cut back the spirit that you've done the week before. So it's always a busy week, and it gets busier and busier at the moment.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Every week we have a Monday team meeting, and every week there seems to be more things on it and more things talking about, and everyone's like, right, yeah, let's get cracking then. Let's get moving. So I think, in that case, we've heard about what you do on a day-to-day basis. So I guess, do you want to give us a mini tour of the distillery where you are at the moment, a kind of a snapshot of what you might get on one of our hourly distillery tours?
Yeah, so you can't see, you can see half of a still over here. So this is our spirit still. But just behind the camera is our wash still, 5,000 litre wash still. And we distill kind of in 2 rounds. So you've got your round 1 and your wash still. And then everything that we do in there on set, for example, on the Monday, the next day, we're going to use it in the spirit still on the Tuesday. The wash still, we bring down 5,000 litres, 8%. That's our wash. That's a daily wash. And then we're going to get that to temperature in the still. Again, yeah, you can only kind of see half of it. That's going to get to temperature. We're going to extract that alcohol. It's going to go down the line arm. You can't see the line arm, but basically a line arm kind of connects to a condenser. And that's going to, hot vapor is going to meet a cool condenser. It's going to turn back to a liquid, and it's going to come into our spirit safe over here. So your wash still is over this side, your spirit still is over here. So at the end of the day, we'll have turned that 5,000 litres at 8% into about 1,700 litres at 25%. And we call that your low wines. And we use the low wines on the next day, because that's not, well, whiskey's got to be at 40%, we're in at 25. And then we're going to start cutting it the next day. So this side, so the same process, except for half of the year, we use our column, which is just over here. You'll have seen column stills in other distilleries if you've visited them before, gin distilleries, grain whiskey, but a little bit different how we use it here. So see if you can see it. So we've got a couple of levers just at the top. So we actually divert vapor into the column and create a loop between two stills. Okay, the column is going to give us a lighter, fruitier spirit, higher ABV. On a standard run, on your standard pot still, we'll be taking about 75%. On the column, we're going to be looking at high 80s. And
I'm just going to jump in there, Dom. Why is that? Why does the column give us a higher ABV?
Think of the column like a big purifier. I think you're gonna show a video later on, maybe. But inside here, we've got 4 copper plates with holes in. So basically, that vapor is going to work through the extra copper contacts. And we always say, I think one of the questions was why copper? Copper's a great reactive surface, and it's going to kind of, if you look under a microscope, for instance, a simple way of putting it, kind of like a Brillo pad. And it's going to kind of get rid of some of those heavier sulfur compounds. We're looking for all those light, fruity flavors, really. So the more copper contacts, the lighter, fruitier spirit, really. They're the two kind of different ways that we do it half of the year. But the main part of it, your bread and butter, we have 3 cuts, or 3 stages, if you want, of the distillation process. So you've got your heads, heart, your tails, or your 4 shots, middle cut, your feints, whatever terminology you prefer. So your 4 shots on a morning, we're going to run that for about 10-15 minutes of the process, and that's really to get rid of any unwanted flavors, aromas of the previous, or the back end of the previous run. And we don't use any automation here. Everything is manual, so we'll be nosing and we'll be tasting. Once we're happy that we've kind of got to a point where we're happy to cut, we flick over to a different tank, and that's going to be our middle cut, and that's the liquid spirit that's going to be going into our spirit receiving vessel at the end of the week, and then eventually into casks.
Okay, so just again quickly, just to interrupt. So how do you know? It's not automated. There's no kind of like green light that suddenly clicks on when you get to the right bit. So how do you? You what?
I've done a fair few distillations now, and yeah, learning from the guys here, they did it. Tom and Dave did it for a year before I even started here. So when you're around it every day, you kind of pick up exactly what we're looking for to go into our spirit style, if you want. But yeah, light and fruity, they're words that we say a lot in this distillery on tours, and yeah, in our tasting notes if you want as well.
Yeah, so it just sort of becomes second nature that's how you know. Yeah, exactly. You start to get that's right. As with any cooking, I guess, you just start to be able to instinctively pick up.
Yeah, it's when you remember first starting out and you'll be doing it so many times, and then all of a sudden you just kind of know. But yeah, it's usually, you're looking between 10 and 15 minutes. You'll be getting your nose on it. 10 minutes into the 4 shots, and then yeah, but it's different every day. It could be 12 minutes, it could be 15 minutes. It's just finding that point where you're happy to get that middle cut into the vessel, into the ISR, the intermediate spirit.
Okay, cool. So then after that, then what happens after that?
Yeah, so that's going to go at the end of the week. So 4 distillations, that's all going to go into. Can you see that tank? Yeah, that tank just there. That's our spirit receiving vessel. So when we're not running the column, that's going to be roughly 75%. We're going to bring water down from the farm. We cut that back to 63.5%, and that's our cask strength. And we fill the casks. But between 12, 13, 14 casks a week at the moment.
Nice, and then there are all sorts of different casks. So primarily we fill bourbon casks, but there'll be all sorts of other ones as well thrown in there. Just
90%, roughly 90% bourbon. But there's that many different sherry casks now, and red wine, and it's always fun when Joe comes down from the warehouse with different samples and see where they're all at. Especially now when we've been distilling for 4 years and kind of seeing since when I started, and I think that our very first tours it was an 8-month spirit, some of it that people were trying and enjoying. So it's completely different now.
Totally different now. So we've got our first question that's come in, and that is, what would make an automated system change it to the middle cut? So if you were using an automated system, I mean, this is a bit tricky if we don't use it.
A lot of computers. There'll be set times, set temperatures if you want. But this is it. When I say it can come in at different times, it can come in early, it can come in late. We're small enough distillery and set up, if you want, to these little efforts. Everything, as well, being an English whiskey distillery, it's a very niche market anyway, isn't it? And anything we can do is flavour driven. And if we can make it taste the best it can, then we're going to do it every day.
Good. Yeah. Okay. So it's gone into the casks now. So one of the questions that was sent in advance to us for this. Oh, hang on. Actually, wait. We've got another question that's just come in, and which is really interesting. So this one is from David Walker. So, having grown up in Hunmanby, so well done. Another Hunmanby local. We like those. I know how hard the water is. How does that affect the end result, and does distillation take it out? So interestingly, with that one, I'm going to jump in a bit too, which is that actually one of the interesting things about the farm. So if you know Hunmanby, we're technically on the boundary of Hunmanby. It's a very boring niche county boundaries thing, but we're so on the border that it A, runs through the farm, and B, we have a Hunmanby phone number and a Driffield postcode. So we sit between East Yorkshire and North Yorkshire. So we're on the way out to Wold Newton, right on the edge of the farm. Was originally part of the Hunmanby estate, but pretty much like the furthest edges of it, which is hence why it's called Hunmanby Grange, which is the farm. Anyway, this is a slight diversion, but what we do have on the farm is we're totally supplied by our own water supply. There's no mains water here. So the first borehole was sunk in, I think, 1937. So that sits down in the Dale. So you can see that if you're walking just out of Hunmanby onto the Centenary Way. So that comes up from there. And then also we have another borehole at the top of the farm now as well that was put in the 90s. So the water, it comes straight up through the chalk. So actually it is a bit softer than you would expect from Hunmanby, because it really is directly from the chalk, and it's comes straight out of the wolds, whereas Hunmanby is right on the edge of the wolds there and sort of dipping into a different rock source, I think. So I don't know if distillation takes it out, but that's what I find from
that sounds right to me. We never have any issues. So.
Yeah, it's not super hard. We find that up here as well, actually, at the farm. There's in terms of like limescale, it never feels as hard as water does in other places. I won't say that that's what makes it taste so delicious, because there's so many different arguments about whether actually water and terroir have a point on that. But I won't go into that one yet.
Consistent water is a big part of the whiskey process. So yeah, it's a great supply for us.
Yeah, it just means that we can be as consistent as possible. But really good question. Thank you very much. So where I was going to ask just before that is about distilling on cold days versus hot days. So as you said, last week, absolutely boiling, roasting hot. This week, everyone's had the heating back on, and suddenly no one's in shorts. Everyone's in trainers and socks and fleece jumpers.
Not from last week, let's say.
Yeah, a bit different. And last week, I think you were all in at like half 5.
Basically, for us, we've got to keep that spirit between 15 and 25 degrees. That's your sweet spot. Once we start, you're going to get a heavier spirit. It basically means we're going to come in earlier when it's a little bit cooler, and we're going to run it slower just to keep it in like those parameters. Because if you're making it in February or in July, in 4 years' time, you want that consistent product. It needs to be, well, consistent. Yeah, it's so if it means an earlier start, longer day, then yeah, we're prepared to do it.
That's good. Well done. Yeah, it's always a tricky one. I know, talking to David, he says, like, yeah, hot days are really hot in there with the stills running, and B,
I quiet walk through Hunmanby, yeah, sometimes in the morning.
Yeah, I bet actually, yeah, no one else is around, especially not at the moment. So actually, one of the other questions we were going to ask is about distilling using the column still, but actually you've talked about that. So 50% of the time, half the year column still.
Half the year, we're running it right now. We've been running it since mid-February. We'll be swapping back, roughly mid-August. But to kind of give you a bit more into it, just having those options in the warehouse of different spirits in the cask of the column, it's gonna work a little bit faster. But give you a little example of if you've tried any of the distillery projects. So 001 was 60% from the pot, 40% column. Number 2, we flipped it the other way around, and then number 3 and 4 were 50-50, which is kind of, I imagine, where the whiskey will be down the line. It's just, I suppose what's right now is what casks are performing best. We're only at 4 years, so in 10 years, 15 years, we'll see this is it. You're taking samples all the time to see and making records, so make our life easier down the line. And
Joe's been working hard on that for the last few weeks. Is definitely kind of upping the sampling game and really keeping an eye on what casks have been doing well. So actually, if you've been able to get perhaps some tickets and places on the birthday tasting that's coming up in a couple of weeks, I think there'll be quite a lot of discussion around the column still and the impact that has, just thinking about what those samples are going to be. I won't say anything else. Otherwise, I'm just going to give it away. So we've had another question come in here, which is, does the time of the year make a difference on whether we use the pots or the column still?
No, the time of year, it's just since the start of production, they started with pot and then moved on to column, and we just kind of kept it. We can flip it whenever we want, really. But just to keep that good, keeping the warehouse stocked, kind of keeping it equal. Yeah. That's kind of what it's down to at the moment. But whether that changes down the line as we see what casks perform, I suppose. But yeah, right now it's just down to that's how it started.
Yeah, I'm sort of following on with that rhythm from there, rather than, oh, it's going to be hot next week, let's do that. All this
either way, it doesn't change the fact that we've got to keep that spirit happy in those parameters. So yeah, column or not, it doesn't make a difference really for us.
Fair enough. Cool. Okay, and then a slightly less serious one, but what's your favourite part of the distilling process? Like, whether that's just because you like the colour of something, or whether because it gives you time to go and have a cup of tea, or for whatever reason, what's your favourite type of the distilling process?
Fun smelling it on the morning, at 6 a.m. when you've got to get your nose on it, and knowing that spirit one day will be going into a bottle in 10, 15 years as a whiskey. Also, when you see the column going, again, there's videos on our Facebook page, but when it's like a washing machine when that column gets going, it looks fantastic. If you think vapors are kind of rising, and we've got a mini condenser at the top of it as well, so it's because some of it's going to drop back down, so it kind of meets, and it's like crashing waves. It looks fantastic. That's always a fun one.
That's good. Yeah, I like the spirit safe just because it's really pretty. That's my favourite thing to look at. I think it just looks really nice with all the way the copper's gone and it's all blue and coppery, and it's just really nice to look at. And I like watching it through. I think it's quite mesmerising when you stand in front of the spirit safe when it's running, let alone when you're actually monitoring it for anything useful. Okay, so we've got another question that came in, which is, when will you be sending the packs for the tasting session? I'll answer that. They'll be going out at some point next week. Yeah, next week. So that'll be the week before the session starts. So they'll be coming to your postbox. So we're just busy putting all of those together at the moment. So I think that's kind of the end of my questions that I was going to ask about this. So Dom, is there anything else that you would like to just add in that you don't think we've covered off properly?
I can go deep into it. I tried to do a very condensed version of the tour. But yeah, we can go back onto the cuts if you want, because that is a bit more.
Actually, that would be good. Why don't you talk a bit more about the cuts and what you're looking for and how you decide?
Yeah, so when we're getting the nose on it, like I said, 10, 15 minutes, you're finding all of us, it can change very, very quickly. And it's not very technical. You literally will just knock it straight over into a different tank, but it's a split second. And then we're just kind of recording temperature, ABV. And then we're going to monitor that. Usually, it's roughly about an hour and a half that middle cut's going to run. Again, depending on the weather, that plays a big part. At the moment, maybe a little bit longer. But as long as that spirit's coming out smelling fantastic, then we're happy. But yeah, the column at the moment, yeah, you're looking at 87, 88%. Pretty strong stuff. But as well, little things as well, I suppose. When the wash still gets to temperature, it smells fantastic in here. You're getting a lot of banana bread, a lot of pineapple. When people are walking in, we don't currently have the cafe, but when the girls are walking in and saying, "Oh, that smells good today," and you'll get different. Some days you'll just get random aromas that you've never really smelled before on the middle cut, and it's just really interesting. Or one day you'll get some herb that you've just kind of pulled out of nowhere 10 minutes into the foreshops, and so it's always a little bit different every day.
That's good. That sounds nice. Okay, we've had another question come in, which is, could you use the stills the other way around to get a different spirit style?
What, as in use the wash still and the spirit still? We would have to have a right good clean.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so to kind of put it into perspective for you, at the end of the day, the wash still will get a good clean. The spirit still, that's our character of our spirit is in there. That's probably going to get a clean maybe once a year, I suppose. So yeah, we don't really want to be touching that every day. But yeah, you wash still. You want all that clean copper contact. So that gets a good clean every day, and then today it got an even more of a proper clean because we're not distilling. So yeah, especially in hot weather, you want to make sure that everything is running efficiently.
Okay, good. All right, another very good question that's just come in now. I feel like this is a Joe question. Does a night out at the pub the previous night impact your view on the cut point the following morning?
Well, I have young children, so I don't get to the pub anymore.
I was going to say, I think you and me are both 9 o'clock time, aren't we, at the moment?
But, yeah, not if you're coming in early. You won't be going to any pubs. But because yeah, it's very strong alcohol to be smelled. If you're not used to it, it's pretty strong on the nose at 8:30 in the morning. If it's clocking up near 90%, but we don't have to taste it every day. You can get a lot from the nose, and again, practice on that. But
yeah, I know. Alex and Tom at the brewery both say that checking beers when you can still taste toothpaste is a funny old feeling, and it just seems very strange and a bit naughty. Yeah. Okay, well, so no more questions coming in at the moment. So what we'll do is actually this topic for this week's Feels the Bottle really tied in very neatly with an announcement we made last night, which is that we are now in a position where we can resume our tours again. So as of the 13th of July, we're really pleased to say that we're able to welcome you guys and anyone back to the distillery again to take part in our hourly tours. Hour-long tours. They're not hourly. But we've had to change a few things around a bit naturally to fit with the relevant guidelines and just to make sure that we're doing things as safely as we possibly can and not putting anyone at risk. So if you are interested in tours, have a look at the tour booking page on the website. That's got the full list of requirements and what we're doing and what we're implementing, and also a bit of what we expect from customers coming to the distillery as well. But in a nutshell, we're running 2 tours every day now instead of 3. So those tours are now 11 and 1. We're doing them 7 days a week still. They still last an hour. You still get the full tour experience. You get the film at the beginning explaining how we got there. You get a full tour of the distillery with Dom or one of our other team members taking you through it. And at the end, you get a tasting session with 3 different samples, and you also get your nosing glass to take home. But the technicalities and the specifics of how you do the tour have had to obviously adapt. So I've just got an excellent comment, a question that's just come in. I think this might have come from David, which is, do you know more than Joe? Does anyone know more than Joe? I don't think they do. I don't think it's possible.
No comment.
Excellent. Now the test will be as if Joe's watching this as to whether we both get a text in a minute saying something along the lines of absolutely not. Anyway, back to what we were talking about with the tours. So tours are now they're now available to book starting again on the 13th from the 13th of July. So visit the website to book those tours. It's mandatory that you have to book in advance. We can't take walk-in tours at the moment. That just enables us to plan and make sure we've got the relevant members of staff on site and all the right kind of PPE in stock and ready to go. If you have tours that have had to be postponed, that you maybe had booked for March or April or May or June, and you've postponed them and you'd like to start rescheduling those, just give us a call on 01723 891 758 during working hours and opening hours, which are 10 to 4 Monday to Friday. And one of the team at the end of the phone will happily get you booked back in again. Likewise, if you have one of our complimentary gift vouchers that we've been giving away with 2 or more bottles of whiskey sales on the website, then give us a call and we'll be able to get you booked in on those too. So really exciting news. The downside is that the coffee shop still isn't open, we're afraid. So no coffees or cakes or fry-ups, because we're trying to just do things in a phased approach, making sure that we're doing things as carefully and as safely as possible. And essentially we don't want to bite off more than we can chew and end up having to close down or causing problems or making anyone uncomfortable. So we'll be opening the coffee shop once we've kind of got into the swing of things with the tours and we're feeling much more comfortable about that. And also we've got a couple more things in place as well. Then the other thing is the classic thing of just sign up to the newsletter, because we've got some really exciting announcements coming out in the next couple of weeks and we wouldn't want anyone to miss out. If there's any more questions coming in, I don't think there are, but we'll give it a couple more seconds to see if any more questions are coming in. Dom's standing there ready and waiting. Look, he's so desperate to answer things. And if there's nothing that comes in, then we'll probably say good night. So thank you very much, Dom. That was great. Any last words?
Hopefully see you all soon.
Yeah. It'd be really nice to. We're all looking forward to seeing new faces again, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And having some Filey fruitcake too. I'm really looking forward to that. Definitely.
We'll go through the window as I'm distilling.
Or someone just brings you a plate of something when they're feeling kind. Okay, I think with that, no more questions. So to that end, we'll say good night, have a lovely Wednesday evening, and we'll see you at the same time next week. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.